From a young age, my parents always talked about how they wanted me to attend a public school. I grew up in Cedar City, which is a small suburban town, so the majority of the town went to public school with a few exceptions. Since I started school, I have always been an overachiever. In middle school, I was in honor courses and made sure to maintain a 4.0 GPA. In high school, I took mostly general education classes while still maintaining my goal of a 4.0. I took mostly general courses because I wanted to attend cosmetology college my senior year of high school. Although I did take college prep classes when they were offered and participated in the special education classroom when I could. Considering I'm from a rather small town, the demographics were limited. Although we did have a few foreign exchange students as well as some move-in students that brought some diversity to our small high school. But that being said, we can pick up on the fact that the majority of my high school was mostly one race. In my case, the majority were white Caucasian students. I also fell into this category. While there was limited diversity, the poverty level of Cedar City was average. Throughout the majority of my schooling, I would say that most of the students that I went to school with were middle class, although we did have some exceptions of students that had families that were quite well off. The majority of us, myself included, sat in the middle class section. Throughout all of my schooling, the main language was English. The majority of our school was heterosexual, with a few students that were openly gay. Considering I fell into the dominant majority in my school, I almost always had privileges that other students might not have had. This makes me think about the minority students and how they feel or might have felt. Personally, I never saw the minority students being intentionally discluded, but I know it was happening. The minority students were never discluded from curriculum courses, but I know when it came to athletics, they usually were chosen last, considering their financial situations or the stereotypes that came with being in the minority. Because I was in the dominant majority of my school, I received awards and scholarships solely based on the fact of my ethnicity and my desire to maintain a good GPA.
Know the difference between sleeping with someone.
Throughout school, I was able to form and keep relationships rather easily. Personally, I think that being able to form social capital between my fellow classmates and teachers helped me to succeed in my schooling. Not only did this benefit me, I know this helped my friends and students around me. Social capital played a major role in how I was able to glide through my schooling. While social capital played a huge role throughout my schooling, so did cultural capital. Cultural capital was pushed on not only me but other students throughout middle and high school. Cultural capital benefited me personally by allowing myself to succeed in my schooling by setting aside the beliefs of others. If it didn't benefit me, I usually would stray away from it. While cultural capital did benefit me in some ways, it also inhibited my learning as well. Throughout middle school, I wanted to wear the in thing, and when my family couldn't afford it, I felt defeated. This was all because of the cultural capital that was pushed on me throughout middle and high school. I grew up part of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is commonly called the LDS Church. I think believing in something throughout my schooling affected the way I did things. I believe that you should love everyone and help those in need no matter their situation. I was taught to never discriminate, and most importantly, I was taught that racism was unacceptable. With these beliefs, I was able to help others throughout my schooling no matter the gender, sexual orientation, or their race. Usually my beliefs benefited me throughout my schooling experiences. My beliefs gave me a desire to strive to do my best and to never give up, and when I needed help, to seek out others for help. My faith was always there when I needed it and never let me down. This was extremely helpful throughout my schooling because when I felt lost, I knew I had somewhere or someone to turn to. Since I am from Cedar City, the majority of my teachers and students also had the same beliefs as me. I know that because of this, teachers and students most of the time unintentionally push their beliefs onto other students. Because the majority of my school had the same beliefs, I think this benefited the school and students because when something happened in the community, we could easily come together and support the individual or the cause without a reason. While there is always pros and cons to each side of things, I know that my beliefs and the beliefs of other students hinder students that were not of the same faith. Because of my schooling experiences, in my future classroom I want to strive to make my students feel understood and loved. I want to be able to meet the needs of each and every student. I plan on doing this by meeting with each student and their parents to come up with a personalized plan for each individual student. I also want to include diverse teaching practices so that I can make students feel understood and welcomed. I want to stray away from pushing my beliefs on students and would hope that I could teach other students that as well. On the contrary, I want to promote equal learning and teach each student that they have equal opportunities throughout their lives. I want to teach students to love and to accept others regardless of their situation. I want my teaching to reflect student-centered pedagogy. I want my teaching to be centered around the students, and I want my students to know that they are my main priority. I want the focus to be taken off me and put onto my students. While I'm there to help my future students to succeed, I'm there to teach them that they can do anything they set their minds to. Throughout the course of this class, I have learned that I want to be able to shut racism down rather quickly in my future classroom. I never want any of my students to feel that my classroom is not a safe environment. I plan to have A plan of action when aspects of privilege come up. While I fully don't understand the plan of action set yet, I do know that I want my students to be able to come to me with any problem. The thing I do know right now is I want my students to succeed and I want to help them to achieve their goals.